Hey guys, Jesse here, and after what feels like an eternity for you and me both, I'm finally done with my Master Grade GM 2.0, and I'm here to review it. If you guys saw my Gunpla update, you'll know that I took a pretty huge break from Gunpla, mainly due to personal life just sort of getting in the way, but partly due to me getting bored building this guy. I built the torso and the head, and didn't really feel like building it anymore. But don't let that make you think that this kit is bad, because this kit is amazing. And after you get through the slog of building the torso and the head, the rest of this just really comes together, and it's an enjoyable and complex and uh, well-paced build that is really worthy of the 2.0 name. We all know that the 2.0 line of kits are great, and I'm here to say that yes, this GM is top tier master grade quality. Um, the inner frame of this is extremely complex. So if you are the kind of person that likes to display their inner frame alongside other armored pieces, or just the inner frame, which I think very few people like to do, but I know there's some out there, um, this would be an incredibly enjoyable one to detail up and paint and display. Counter to its outward plain design, again, the inner frame is complex and highly detailed. But I know the biggest thing about this kit that would turn people off is simply the design. It is a very plain and boring design, and it's meant to be. It's meant to be a design that can be blown up over and over again in the show. It's a grunt suit, but it's a very weak looking grunt suit. It's not intimidating at all. It's got this little bulbous head and tiny little shoulders. And the 2.0 was meant to accurately depict the GM in the show. This kit's outer detail is actually less detailed than the 1.0, which actually has panel lines, but the 1.0 is so outdated that if you want panel lines in your GM, just scribe them yourself, because that kit's just, it's too far gone, man. But as you can see, there are almost no panel lines on this guy, just like none whatsoever. I would say you can get away with not panel lining this kit, but that's completely up to you. But saying that, um, if you just build this kit out of the box, I think most people are going to be disappointed, simply because it's so plain. If you don't do any decals, no painting, no nothing, I think you're going to be left disappointed, because it's just so plain. So it begs you to do something with it, which this kit does provide quite a bit of options in terms of customization. Um, for me, obviously I weathered it, so I'll go ahead and talk a bit about my paint job here. Before I go on, I just want to say the colors that you're seeing right now are as close as I can get my white balance to capturing them. I'm going to be moving this kit in and out, and this green seems to be very sensitive to, the camera seems very sensitive to this green. So the colors you see now, this is a little bit more green, and this is a little bit more orange. So just sort of burn this image into your memory of the colors. But saying that, let's go ahead and bring it in a bit closer. The paint job I gave this guy, I just did my normal weathering. I tried to tone it down a bit because I was looking at some of my older kits that I did weathering on, and I noticed that I kind of went a bit overboard. So here I tried to keep it more consistent, and tried not to dry brush like crazy like I usually do. For my battle damage here, just used the Dremel with a cutting bit and a drill to scar this up, then did a dry brush of silver, a sponge of black to create some paint chipping, as you can see here. Yep, just did that all over the kit, made it look consistent. Then used some Tamiya weathering pastels to create these streaks that you see, threw a top coat on it, and it was done. Just a pro tip on these lighter armor parts on any kit that has light armor parts, a dry brush of silver will not be enough for your weathering. It just won't show up. So if you have a kit that has some darker parts incorporated like black, red, purple, blue, etc., and you weather those and you're going to go weather the lighter parts on the kit, you have to do either a sponge, a chipping of a darker color, like for me I did black, or do a dry brush of black or dry brush of brown or gray. You've got to do something a bit dark just to make it consistent, or else it won't look correct. Trust me, I've done it on past kits, and this technique now has given me the best results. So, of course, there's probably better out there for sure, but this is just my suggestion. So, you can still do the silver dry brush, as you can see there. Of course, I still dry brush the silver, but over it, I did do my black sponging and used my Tamiya weathering to darken it up to make it look consistent. So, in terms of articulation, I have the kit is great. It's pretty much the perfect articulated kit. But I have 2 points I like to talk about. The head cannot. That's as far as the head can look down. And in order to make a kit look intimidating, it has to look down, and this one can't. So I don't know. Maybe that's just fitting for the GM. It can look up really well. It can go all over the place, but looking down, that's as far as you're going to get, which is kind of strange. I feel like if they made a sort of mechanism that allowed you to pop the head up a bit and look down, then it would look better, or it would look down more. That was kind of strange. I've never had that pop off on me, but as you can see, the colors here for the visor are green, so they give you a green sticker for that. I didn't feel the need to, since it was already green. As you can see, I did something unique here on the head. I did this on my GOG, and I'm going to be hard pressed not to do this on future kits with visors, but I went ahead and cracked it because it's a very fun technique to do, and it just looks great. And maybe I'll make a video on how to do that in the future, but I can't do that on all my kits that have visors, so I've got to learn some restraint in the future. But in terms of the other piece of articulation that bothers me, it's the skirt here. So the skirt can go any which way you want. They're all on ball joints, but because of its sort of angular design and square design here, it tends to fall apart pretty easily. So here I'm moving this skirt out of the way, and as you can see, the side skirt just popped off. That's because the front skirt ran into it and launched it off, basically. So you're going to have some problems with these side skirts coming off. And also, since this inner frame is based on the ARC 78-2's inner frame, the back skirt here, which is one solid piece, should be 2 pieces because that's how it is on the Gundam, and yet it's 1 piece. But as you can see, there's 2 ball joints because there's supposed to be 2 skirt pieces. So this is attached by 2 ball joints, yet when you move it around, you'll find that one of these will come dislodged, and you'll kind of have a floppy back skirt whenever you bend the legs back. And so it's just sort of hard to get a good flying pose with this guy and not have the side skirt or the back skirt pop off, which is a shame because these legs are incredibly articulated and can go every which way you want. Same thing with the shoulders. You have this awesome gimmick of being able to pull out and come forward and pull out and go up, and it allows the arm to go all the way up, as you can see, and all the way forward and across the chest. I mean, look at that. That's just incredible articulation. The engineering in this inner frame is just, yeah, it's a testament to Bandai's good design when it comes to these 2.0 kits. Something I forgot to talk about were the decals. The decals on this kit are great. Now, I remember watching, I think it was Jabman's review a long time ago of this kit, and he said that the decals weren't that great, but they are that great, simply because if you follow the manual to a T in terms of decal placement, you'll find that the amount of decals really matches the design aesthetics of this kit. Again, it's meant to be quite plain, so the amount of decals are quite minimal. As you can see, just have a few on the shoulders, just a few on the chest, very few on the skirt armor, very few on the legs. It's just a good balance of decal to surface detail. This is actually meant to go in the center here, but I felt like that was far too symmetrical, so I just threw it up there in the corner. Um, but yeah, I really like the decals here. And to top it all off, they give you a bunch of extras. As you can see, you get a bunch of dry transfers and a bunch of extra stickers. Here you have like the Jack Halloween, white Dingu behind this camera sticker here, and some 4th MS Squadron. I'm not sure where that's from, I can't remember. But the point here I'm trying to make is they encourage you to customize this kit. So they give you the stickers required or decals required for your customization. So if you want to make the white Dingu, which is all white pretty much, you have the stickers to complete it. You have the decals to complete it. Same thing with like the Jack Halloween custom and stuff like that. So really nice that they encourage customization on this guy, because maybe they knew it was so plain. Who knows? But in any case, really good amount of extra decals. Now let's move on to the accessories. Let's start off with my favorite accessory, and that is the beam spray gun. And I love this gun so much because it is so incredibly useless. I don't think the GM killed a single thing with this gun. It's so puny and so impractical that it's just amazing. For the accessory itself, it's very well proportioned. Looks great in the GM's hand. And it's actually incredibly detailed on the inside too. You have like this part that slips into this barrel, and that part is just, it has a lot of incredible mechanical details. So again, very plain on the outside, but on the inside there's quite a bit of detail. Next we have the shield. As you can see, I did something quite unique with the shield. I put bullet holes in it. No, I put this spare Zaku heat hawk on it. I'm never going to use a heat hawk on a master grade Zaku, let's face it. So I just took the spare one I had and hot glued it in there, weathered it up as well, and did some scarring, and just did my regular, weathering on it. It has this connection point, can connect on the left or right arm. You just twist that. One problem I have with this is you can see this mechanism can slide up and down, and this is the highest it can go, and yet it still sits incredibly high on the GM. I want this to sit down lower, but I can't get it any lower because it's at its highest point on that shield, or on that rail. So yeah, that's not that great, but it'll do. It looks all right. Oh, another thing about the shield is there's a blast shield that can come up over this visor. You push that little mechanism, but because of my heat hawk here, it actually got that mechanism stuck in place. So I guess the Zaku's attack was effective in some way. Then we get the bazooka that I did not assemble. I really don't like the first Gundam bazookas. They're just too vanilla for me. They're just far too plain. But you have the bazooka. It's a nice bazooka. The color separation is pretty good, and it's detailed and yada yada. It's ugly. Anyways, you get 2 beam saber effect parts. You get, the GM is supposed to have only 1 beam saber, but you can actually pull out the other side of the backpack to give it to if you'd like, because again, it's just the RX-78-2 backpack. And they do give you another beam saber hilt. So if you want your GM to have 2 beam sabers, feel free. And they also give you 2 effect parts. So you get your action base connector, of course, a little pilot, and finally you get these extra pieces. Now what these are another set of front skirt armor, and that's because the original design of the GM is supposed to have one singular front skirt, just like the back skirt. Now, of course, that would destroy leg articulation if they were just to make it a singular piece. But in order to keep that design and keep articulation, what they did was they kept that design, but they split it down the middle. And so you get to choose between this, which is a little more modern looking and looks a little more, I guess realistic, or you can put this crotch piece on, and these pieces will sit over like this and stay flush to each other and kind of create a pseudo uniform front skirt piece that will move separately. So you don't lose any articulation whatsoever, and it's purely a aesthetic choice that you get to make. So that's very cool. Very cool that they give you that choice. And that does it for the accessories. Could it have come with more? Maybe. Maybe it could have come with the beam rifle because the GM did use the beam rifle at some point. But I think, this kind of makes up for everything. I love this weapon. But yeah, this kit is amazing. I would suggest anyone who, they're looking for a good grunt master grade to either pick up this or the Zaku 2.0. There's two kinds of people in the world. There's people who love their GMs and people who love their Zakus. I'm more of a Zaku guy, but I still like the GM, and I wanted a definitive version of the GM. And for me, this is it. And you can turn this into any version of the GM you want. Again, the only problems I have with this kit are the head and waist skirt articulation, and that is that's just nitpicking, really, because in the grand scheme of things, this is just a great addition to any Master Raid collection. Again, the only thing I can see really deterring people from getting this is the design. It could just be too plain for some people, or they just absolutely hate GMs. But how could you hate a mobile suit with a head like that? In any case, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.